Give me that water, I need to fight it. Okay, I can't get it like you.
Welcome to the Counterculture Podcast. Our podcast was created to help young adults hear a different perspective on relevant topics in today's culture. So hang out with us as we look at the world through God's Word.
Give me that water, I need to fight it. Okay, I can't get it like you.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Counterculture Podcast. My name is Eli. I'm the host of the podcast along with co-host Mitch.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Counterculture Podcast. Did you hear that song in the beginning? Yes, that song's out now. Music by Mitch. Go check it out. Water by Mitch. I'm here with my co-host Eli. And I'm kind of going to be driving the conversation today, driving the topic, and kind of just taking lead on the episode.
I'm glad that you're taking lead, because one thing you may not know about Mitch, and it's honestly just a very, very, very good quality that a man can possess, is his inability to remember directions, remember places. And so I'm really glad you're in the driver's seat, actually, because we're going to go probably somewhere way off the beaten path because you don't know how to get anywhere. So it's just like, I'm really glad that you're driving. Because you need maps. Do you have maps pulled up right now on your phone? Like, do you have notes?
One word that has never been used to describe me is inability.
Yeah. Okay.
You can't use Mitch and inability in the same sentence, or else it's a logical fallacy.
Unless you're talking about anything. Unless you're talking about basically most things in life, right? Those are the exceptions.
The phrasing is ability to. Or
oh, okay.
His ability.
Yeah. There has been, at this point, 5 counted instances of people driving by Mitch on an interstate, honking at him, waving their arms, slowing down, speeding up. 5 instances with literally zero regard for whatever's going around him. So if the world was ending, bombs are flying, planes are coming through, Mitch would be on his daily commute back to his house with zero idea what is going on.
There's been 2 instances of that.
2 instances for just me. Daniel also had an instance, and Kel has now had 2 instances.
I have an instance of
What's
you,
2
though.
plus 3?
I have an instance of you, though.
Hey,
Daniel
ready?
has nothing. And Kale's weren't waving his arms right next to me. He had one. He had one of those.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just glad you admitted it, that it did happen.
I was dialed. Have you ever been dialed? Ever been dialed in?
This dude's so dialed when he's driving. Nothing can faze him. Not even the honking of a horn to the right of him is crazy. Man, you do well in traffic. That's crazy. Yes, no. Assistant to the regional manager, Mitch, right here. I am Scranton branch manager, and we're happy to have you here. So the Counterculture Podcast, really the reason we started it is because we felt like there was a lot of people our age that looked at topics in culture, whether it was dating, whether it was like news, current events, artists, music. They looked at these things and they were like, what am I supposed to think? Like, there's one way that the world is telling me to think, right? Which is kind of like to just embrace these ideologies that culture pushes forward. And then there's kind of the other spectrum, which we would say is the biblical perspective of these things. And so our goal is to give a biblical perspective on current events and relevant things happening in culture right now. And we're young, so we feel like it helps because we're not, I don't know, some grandpa coming on here being like, go to church, like that feels very stale. Very sound wisdom, but very, stale just coming from the audience. So we feel like it's received better coming from somebody who is of the younger nature. I am 20, if I haven't introduced myself in a while, it might not be a horrible idea. I'm 24. I work in finance. I started my own company 2 years ago. It's an e-commerce clothing brand, faith-based. Uncertified.co is the website. Make sure you check it out. Married to a beautiful woman, 2 kids. We're in my house right now that we purchased last year. So God has been doing some really, really cool things in my life. But that's a little bit about me. Mitch, why don't you give yourself a little intro? I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah. I am Mitch. I am also working in finance. Been married for 2.5, almost 3 years now.
We're almost at 4.
Yeah.
Is that crazy?
That is crazy. And then I work on music. I make music. I'm a music artist. Like I said, the song at the beginning of this video is mine. You can go check out my stuff. I'm coming out with a song every month. And yeah, I'm 23. 23.
June 19th?
Yeah, and you are... You are February.
Yeah, I'm just going to say something real quick.
January.
I am not sure if there is, another human on earth. I was in his wedding. I mean, you can call it a best friend. You can call it a friend, a close friend. I was in his wedding, right? And honestly, we've only gotten closer since then. I did not receive a happy birthday text, call, or even I saw him in person on my birthday. I was out to dinner for my birthday with my wife. This dude pulls up to where I am going to dinner for my birthday and does not tell me happy birthday. Has no idea it's my birthday.
It was for your birthday. It was a surprise.
Yeah. I just want to say, I hope you don't have a friend like that. It's just insane. But I appreciate you.
If you're wishing your friends happy birthday, dude, get a life. That is so cringe.
It's low. Yeah. No, raise your status for sure. Birthdays are overrated. Nobody cares about when you were born.
Don't worry about your birthday. Just get your bread.
Yeah. Hey, all we care about, what's your net worth? I don't care about your birthday. Every few months I check in. What's your net worth at right now?
What's the year you earned your first milk?
Yeah. That's what I care about.
That's my new birthday.
In fact, I don't even address you by your first name until you've breached 100K a month. You understand that?
Yeah.
That's what I thought, Timothy.
So you're old. You're however years old since that.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that.
So
You are
-3. I haven't been born yet. Tonight's episode is actually starring two people that have a very big place in my heart.
I knew you would like this.
I haven't seen the video. Basically, every single time we do a podcast, just so you know, I come completely unprepared. So I don't know if that helps my case. If you think I suck, no, that's why I suck. If you think I'm good, I appreciate the compliment. But yeah, I'm completely unprepared. I've not seen this video. In fact, I told Mitch to refrain even giving me the topic. So I do not know what tonight's episode is going to be about, but I'm here for it. We're in my kitchen. The mics are set up. The cameras are rolling. We have two people. Can you introduce them and the topic today?
Yes. Today, we are going to be reviewing, reacting to, and discussing the topics addressed in this video. And recently, 4 days ago from the time recording this, our boy Lecrae, who one of us has met.
Put up the picture. Thank you.
So, he could be on the pod here soon.
He owns my clothes.
Yeah, Lecrae does wear
Yeah.
counterculture uncertified
Yeah.
garments.
That's actually pretty crazy.
Lecrae has a podcast called Deep End, and he recently had on Will Smith.
Top 3 actors for me.
Eli loves Will Smith.
Incredible actor.
I feel like he's a great guy. Of course, the slap was something in history.
What was that? Dude, do we know yet?
Everyone thinks less of him now, but I think he's rebounding. I think it was a mishap. Something that happened under pressure that was unfortunate. An unfortunate misstep, but he's back. And he gets into, of course, religion, and kind of some of the struggles of being at literally the top of the world, and being unsatisfied, and kind of what that looks like.
Gosh, I want to hear this so bad. You have clips segmented out?
We have 2 pretty quick clips,
Okay.
but it'll be a good conversation.
Yeah, easy to expound on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Will Smith, gosh, I Am Legend, I, Robot. We got so many good movies that dude is in.
Pursuit of Happiness, King Richard, Ali.
King Richard, it's a great one.
You've seen King Richard?
Love that movie.
Wow.
Love that film. Oh, frick.
Huh.
Yo, look at my computer. Anyways, gosh,
okay.
sorry, technical difficulties there real quick. My computer had an aneurysm. But anyways.
Good explanation. I got the first clip.
Okay, I
up.
am very, very ready. Let me see this mug.
My personal belief is, I was raised, with a with an Old Testament grandmother.
Right.
So
Gigi.
Gigi,
Yeah.
yeah. So my way and my deepest understanding is biblical.
Mm-hmm.
But I've read the Quran from cover to cover.
Yeah.
During Ramadan 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I read the Bhagavad Gita from cover to cover. I read the teachings of the Buddha. So, if I had to say what my religion is, I would take the Muhammad Ali quote, and my religion is love.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I believe in the oneness and the possibility of harmony between people who are all reaching for the one truth.
Lot to unpack there.
Yeah.
Wow. You just moved to number 3 on my all-time actor list. After that one. No. Wow. That's crazy.
The religion of love.
So he's a universalist. I mean, that's what that is. Whether or not you want to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Believing that love wins and, all religions, if you will, lead to the same destination.
Mm-hmm. Very common belief.
Very common belief, which is just so crazy to me because it's like the religions contradict each other.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that work? Like what I believe doesn't believe what you believe. So how are they getting us to the same exact place?
Mm-hmm.
And if one, and this really could get into a whole deep dive into, truth and absolute truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, if you really do believe in, absolute truth, which I personally do, you can't believe that all of these things exist in harmony with one another. Because I'll tell you right now, if what the Bible says is true, right, what is it? I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one gets to the Father except through me.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jesus is very clear. Like, there is not all roads lead to one. There is not every single religion, can vouch for the same God and be the same thing. He says, no, like, I am the way. Like, apart from me, there is no way to the Father.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, like, first things first, if we take a biblical perspective on this, the Bible is very clear that the road to eternity, salvation, the road to God is there's one road. It's not all roads. It's not all religions. And people get upset with that.
Mm-hmm.
Like really upset with that. What are kind of your initial thoughts when you watch that? Obviously, you're not watching or hearing that for the first time.
When he says that his religion is love, and if I'm remembering the exact words he used, it's like we're all, in a room searching for the truth or reaching for the truth.
Reaching for truth, yeah.
And that he believes that we as a people, he believes in us as a people all unifying in this love and reaching for truth together, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's very vague and esoteric and
yeah.
it's
which is just to me a cop out, but anyways.
Yeah. And to me it's just that's a level of faith that even I don't have.
Yeah.
Because it's a faith in people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't have faith in people.
At all.
I have faith in God.
Yeah.
And that he can bring out the good in people.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. Kind of the depiction he made of what it looks like to have faith in religion is kind of this sense of people coming together and in unity finding love amongst one another. How has that gone in the last basically forever?
Yeah.
Right? Like interesting, right? And so when you take the gospel, right? I mean it's the, the cyclical picture of, God's design, brokenness, and the gospel, right? We've probably all seen that little graph or circle, if you will, but there is just a clear picture of, number one, what God's design was in the very, very beginning, how we have came in, and we've actually been the ones to mess it up. And without Jesus stepping in, everything stays messed up. Like, things don't get better. Like, humans on their own don't, reach a standard of morality that is, good enough to get into heaven, a standard of perfection. So I think it's interesting that he places kind of a large weight on our, human ability to find this unity and love and harmony with one another, when we all know that's just not realistic.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. From the beginning of human history,
Cain and Abel.
all humans do is corrupt what is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah,
And of course, there's beauty in humanity in certain aspects.
for sure.
And throughout history, there's been ebbs and flows of beauty and evil. And it's just kind of a never-ending cycle.
Yeah.
And so to ground for Will Smith to say, I ground my whole belief in this, and this is, and love is what I put my faith in as probably an end result for like what a standard we should all strive towards.
Yeah.
But without God, what is love?
What is love?
You know?
Dang, that's such a good question,
it's
though.
like-
No, seriously. And if you think about this, like this is where it gets really interesting, right? Even amidst religions, love could be defined so differently, right? I mean, we literally, you think about like the religions that actually think they're doing good by sacrificing themselves on planes. You know what I mean? Though, like there's such a contrast between religions as to what the baseline standard of love and morality is. There's obviously going to be commonalities, but I think to your point, like that is what to me is so important when it comes to truth and finding out the truth and absolute truth is there has to be coherency with what I believe from point A to point Z. And that is what the gospel provides. Like it does. Like it literally tells you from the very beginning, till now. And this is a book that, was written over, the last however long. And it's so relevant today. Like it's completely relevant today and it applies to our lives today.
Yeah.
And when it comes to truth and absolute truth, I think what Will Smith is missing is like, bro, there is a God who wants a relationship with you, like personally, you know what I mean? And like there's a connection you can have with God that is so intimate and that is so profound. It goes so far beyond this, vague construct of harmony and love with other humans. You know what I mean? Like that's, oh my gosh, like God's love so much more intimate than that, dude. Like I think that's the other thing. We oftentimes put religion in this box of like, it's some concept we just grasp onto when we need it most, and I think that's probably what it's easy to do as somebody who is in a public, who is in the public eye, is like, I'm just going to put religion in a box. It's love. I mean, think of how freaking, dude, that's such a cop. It's love. It's harmony with one another. Don't we all love that? Like, yay. Like, yeah, that sounds great. It's just a politically correct answer. But what if it was like, no, like, Jesus saved my life, and Jesus makes it clear that he is the way. And it's so interesting to hear him say that he was raised on biblical principles, which say that, right? I mean, one of those common verses, right? He's saying, like, I was raised on this, but then what he's basically saying is I've abandoned that. Like, now I've abandoned that truth, and I am, now in this other belief that all roads lead to God. It's crazy.
And he uses the word God throughout the video.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's referring to.
Yeah. Yeah. Like who is God to him?
Because the God he's referring to is probably some esoteric, divine thing,
supernatural being.
Supernatural force out there in the universe. Maybe he believes in a creator, I guess. But the religion of love is very, very vacant without God.
Yeah. It also undermines a lot of other necessary traits that God possesses, because God is love, but God is also just. You know what I mean? Like the wrath of God is very, very real.
That's a good point, because is love just being at harmony with everyone as best as you can be? Well, what if someone's love contradicts yours?
Yeah, for sure.
How do you strive for your religion of love when their idea of love is different? Because there has to be at some point a line drawn where we stand on truth.
Yeah.
And is love acceptance of everyone? Well, that gets very difficult if you don't have some objective standard like God.
Yeah. Right, because loving everybody is accepting, let's talk about the LGBTQ community, right? It's like it's accepting them, But to me, loving my son is teaching him the truth about who God made us to be, which is man and woman, right? And so it's two different views and perspectives on love that aren't in harmony with one another, that completely conflict one another. And so although the intention can be love, the result of viewing love as one harmonious thing that everybody could potentially achieve through their own avenue, through their own religion, it really is just incredibly unrealistic. And like you said, like it just undermines God. There's a vacancy there. And what I really think is interesting is it takes out the reality of our brokenness and the response that needs to be made in response to our brokenness, the response that is required. Like if we think about what in the very beginning in the garden, like Adam and Eve, right? Like they fell into sin, and since that time, like Cain and Abel, and then it just continues to go downhill, right? I mean, the world was wiped out, whether it was a worldwide flood or not, right?
Yeah.
Up for debate. And then, things continue to get bad. Things were always bad. Things were bad back then. They're bad now. And so, there is this like elephant in the room that explanation does not address. And it's like, so what about sin? What about brokenness? What about all of these things that come with humanity and being human? And how do we fight that? Like because love ultimately, like you said, has imbalances when it comes to all of these different religions. So what is the answer? Because it can't just be love. You know what I mean? There has to be justice served. There has to be, equality in some of these, places. So I think it's missing. It just misses a huge mark when it comes to the explanation of the reality of our current humanity.
It's very appealing, and it sounds good. It feels good.
Feels great, actually.
Yeah. to give love to people, it feels good.
Yeah.
To receive love feels good.
Right.
And that's a net positive for society, I would say. But again, it's surface level.
Yeah.
Because when we start attaching the deeper roots of what are the implications of that? How does that play out globally or even just outside of your society? It gets a little more tricky.
Yeah. And obviously, like, we're not saying love is not important, right? Like, where's the passage where it talks about, like, if you can tell a mountain to move and it moves, but you don't have love, right? You're a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's in Matthew or where the heck that is. But, like, obviously, love is a huge foundation of Christianity, and definitely a part of Christianity that can get overlooked. Right? Like we oftentimes lean towards the judgment. We lean towards the cynicism. And so I think it's good to, sometimes we've talked about in politics, like sometimes the left side does do a better job at loving, which is crazy, right? Like the right side is very, very like, I'm going to be, super firm and strong in my beliefs, and I'm going to tell you that this is what's truth. And it's like, well, what is truth without love, right? And so I think there's definitely a balance there. There's a blend.
Good point.
But I just wanted to throw that out there because love is obviously extremely important to Christianity, and I think, to humanity for sure. Clip number 1. Number 2.
That was a part of the time where I made the discovery of the insatiable nature of material chasing.
Okay.
Like, no matter how big a movie is, you want the next one to be bigger. There is no end. That is the trick of the material world. Right? The trick of the material world is, oh man, when I do this and I do that and I do this, then I'm gonna be good.
Yeah.
And then you do that and you get to the top of that mountain and the clouds clear and you see there's another one. Oh, well, that one's, I gotta climb that one. You can't come this far and not,
Right.
But it never ends. It's infinite.
That's
Very
truthful.
Yeah. Give me some of your initial thoughts on that.
Well, I know that we both can kind of struggle with that. Like that hit home for me.
Yeah.
Like it's always like when I hear that, it's kind of like a factory reset for my mind.
Yeah.
Being like, okay, dude, like, chill.
Yeah.
And I mean, he put it beautifully. Like, and it feels so much more valuable coming from someone of his status. You know, the biggest actor in the world.
Yeah, literally.
You know,
Yeah.
and even he is saying still, like, when his biggest movie comes out, he all he can think about is, all right, the next one's got to be bigger. And there's never a satisfying moment.
Yeah.
And he's done everything you could possibly want, which is crazy.
Yeah.
And how once you get to the mountain you thought you could never get to, there's always another one.
The clouds.
And you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I've already gotten this far. I gotta keep going for that one.
Yeah.
It only makes sense. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's, a couple of things come to my head. There was a quote that I saw the other day by Jim Carrey, and it said, I'm obviously paraphrasing, but it said something to the degree of, I hope everybody at some point achieves all of their goals, reaches their dreams, and finds success, because they'll realize then it's not the answer. And I was like, wow. Like, you just find over and over again these people who, in our head, what the world would consider as people who have literally made it. Like, what else could you ask for? Like, the ability to do anything, go anywhere, meet anyone. Like, what? Like, imagine just not going to work tomorrow and being like, I never need to work again. I can hop in my SVJ. I can hop in my, maybe it's a deep seafoam green Aston Martin, right? For both of us.
Yeah.
And drive off into the sunset, dude, and take a hike to, Miami. And, like, I just think there's this idea that those things solve problems, but they actually ultimately really just create more, which is interesting. So kind of, in the beginning we talked about my clothing brand, and this is very applicable because the original mission statement of Uncertified was not finding validation in the things of this world, but in the one who created it. And the whole idea was we can continually pursue this idea of success, materialism, status as ultimate. But once we get there, there's going to be another ladder to climb. There's going to be another mountain, like we talked about, there's going to be another mountain to climb. That's going to just continue to leave you wanting more. And the main difference with what Jesus offers and what the world offers is when you continue to try and pursue the world and the things of the world, it almost actually just increases your appetite for something that is never going to be there. Like it's this crazy concept because like you taste it and it feels so real. Like, dude, I mean, we have had conversations and, alluding to our conversation earlier, like I don't necessarily, I don't want to get feel like this is getting arrogant, but like, man, I've had some crazy success by 24. Like just, generally speaking, like for people to look at some of the things that I've been able to accomplish, like, whether it's, money, whether it's, other things, like, holy moly, I could sit here and be like, man, God, like, I'm good. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need anything else. And that's the exact opposite. Like, I feel more deprived right now than ever, dude. And my net worth is higher than it's ever been. You know what I mean? I have my own house, my cars are paid off. So it's like this weird thing of like, shouldn't I feel there? Like people would die to be in my position, dude. And yet I have this lingering like dissatisfaction with the status of my current being in my life. And it's like, wow. And so then it does like make you ask the question, what is success? What does it mean to be rich? You had a song come out. I don't think the lyrics are original to you, but it says something to the nature of some people are so poor, all they have is money. And that just, man, I remember hearing that for the first time and it resonating so heavily with me because I have this idea that I have this modern minimalistic house picked out that's like 20 minutes outside of the city. It's custom built with everything I want. I'm driving my black Aston Martin. You guys are probably like, dang, dude, this is unhealthy, right? Like I'm driving my black Aston Martin into it and my brand's doing 7-figure. Like if I got there, dude, it'd be it, right? I'd be set. I'd be satisfied. Like I would. But me and you both know I wouldn't. Like I would sit down and there would be a longing that I would have. And that longing is for Jesus. Like it is. Like at the end of the day, that longing, that crave that you have, the void in your heart, I know people say it's bad theology, but there is a God-sized hole in your heart that only he can fill. And as much as you find success in the world, those things aren't going to do it. So I think, he's alluding to a construct that is being seen across the world, and it has been for the last forever. And we still don't learn.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
It is very weird.
What is that? Like, the devil is so crafty.
It's like he said, it's the trick of the material world. It's the more you, I mean, it sucks because, I mean, we're stuck in the material world.
Yeah.
We can't see God.
Right.
Because if we did, we wouldn't want this world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So while we're on Earth, all we know is what this world is, what success looks like in this world,
Yeah.
how our society's built, and who we idolize, who society idolizes, and what the image of a perfect life looks like in society's eyes. And it's the trick of the material world, and we're kind of stuck in it.
Yeah.
And so the more that your eyes are on that, the less you're going to be on Jesus. The more your eyes are on Jesus, the less the material world starts to trick you.
Yeah.
And while you're on earth, you can operate in a mindset and in a heart posture that's not of this world. That's obviously our goal.
Yeah. So tell me, for you, like, what does it look like to not make success, status, materialistic things final? Like, what does it look like to pursue Jesus in that way, while also, like, being somebody who is driven, like, wanting to succeed, wanting to be good at your career, wanting your music career to be able to be something that sustains your income? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah.
It's going to be a really raw, we're me and him are going through the thick of this right now.
It's like,
Or I guess I should say, what are you doing right now? Like, what are you doing?
I can say that the material the material and the circumstantial aspect of what I would love my life to be like isn't my final. It's not like why I'm doing these things.
Yeah.
But when I look at, well, what's consuming the most of my thoughts, it's those.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, are they in my mind the final, that end all be all, or is God?
Yeah.
And God is definitely the minority, you know, as opposed to how much my mind is obsessing over how can I make my music blow up? How can I get my net worth up? You know, how can I monetize whatever, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I think the balance is hard to strike, but to the best of my ability, I need to be submitting my passion to the Lord.
Yeah.
Being diligent with the gift He's given me, which means being consistent with music and being consistent with logical and practical steps to get towards my goal. But every step of the way, making sure that I'm submitting my mind and my family, my entire being to the plan that God has and to Him, and that's through prayer every step of the way.
Yeah.
Which of course I need to work on.
Yeah.
And of course I'm not doing what I should, like as good as I could be.
Yeah.
So it's a tough balance to strike, and if, like you say all the time, if God wants it to happen, it'll happen. But it's just so easy to just overstep your bounds and start making it about you. And you don't realize the switch when it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's tricky.
True. Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's really, really hard. And, you know, like we've talked about, once you scratch the itch, it's so hard to stop. You know, I hang around, and it's a balance too, because it's like I hang around successful people. I hang around people who are, you know, in their 20s, millionaires. So it's like you also have this like reference point of like what success is, or what even just like objectively, you know what I mean? Like, what is success? Well, it's like oftentimes framed by your reference. But kind of what you were saying. There was I was listening to a podcast the other day, and there was this guy who was on vacation, and I don't know if he was talking to his wife or somebody, but he was like, man, I can't wait till we come back here next year. And it was like the first day of the vacation. And it was this interesting picture of like, no, even when we're there, like even when we're in it, like he's literally on the vacation where he wants to be in paradise, and he's looking to next year. And so I think, we do that as humans. For me, I think it's going back to like, what is my why? Like, why am I doing what I want to do? So for example, like I have talked to my dad about this. Like, I've gotten to a position where like I do make good money, great money, like no matter who you are, what age. And so I'm like, okay, how do I steward this? Like, how do I be a steward of God's resources and the gifts he's given me? And like, what is, if I want to make more, or I want to like, save, it's like, why do I want to do these things? Like, if I want uncertified to blow up, like, what's the why? And I think like going back to scripture and humbling my heart and being honest with myself, a lot of times it's very selfish. It really is. Like, I'd like to be able to do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to go on any vacation I want. Like, I'd like to be able to just buy my dream car in cash. Like, I have a lot of these things. And so I think it's reframing it in my mind and being like, what does it look like to take what God has given me and actually use it for impact for the kingdom? Like, what if I adopted another kid? Like, I have one kid adopted in Africa. Like, there's zero reason with what I make right now I couldn't do another one or two more. So it's like, what does it look like to add two more? What does it look like to call, I support my brother. What does it look like to call my brother and be like, hey, dude, like, I want to increase my giving every single month to you guys because God has continued to be good to me, right? Like, I even thought about, like, what does it look like to just, when people ask, say yes? We talked about somebody that approached both of us to potentially support them overseas, and we ended up saying yes. And it's like, man, what if my goal was, not necessarily like advertising it, but just like, we want to be able to say yes to whoever comes to us. Like, as long as their mission is aligned with the gospel, like, and so I think going back to the drawing board, evaluating your heart, and then giving it to God, being like, God, I'm going to mess this up. Like, please guide me, like, be my hands and feet, like, give me the wisdom I need. And I think a lot of that comes through prayer, like you said, and then hanging around people who are being influences in that direction, right? Like, if you have toxic people who are telling you like, money's the end, here's what I'm doing to get X, Y, and Z. My mentor the other day, I was telling him about all my frustrations with my company. We've faced a lot of hardship in a lot of different ways. Part of it was, personal stuff and having to spend a lot of money on this house and renovations when we gutted it. But I was telling him about all these ideas that I had, and he asked me a question that just like floored me. And it's just like, it's so dumb that this was so eye-opening. But he was like, why are you wanting uncertified to grow and succeed? He was like, what's the motivation behind these early mornings and the late nights? And he was like, and when's the last time you reevaluated that? And I literally was like, I have no idea. Like, I had no answer for him. Like, I was like, it'd be awesome to see, I wanted, there was no like, man, like, I'm praying every morning that God uses our brand to spread the God. Like, that wasn't my answer, And so I think just for me, like you said, navigating the balance is going back to the why of what is my purpose on this earth. It's not for my glory, it's for his. And if I can make my life's mission his glory, that is success. Like, that is, like, obedience is the goal. Like, obedience is the end goal, and glory to God is my call. And if I can one day stand before God and look at him, and that is the mark of my life, is that, no, I maybe did not reach $100 million net worth. No, maybe my company never became the biggest clothing brand ever, but I was faithful with what he gave me. Dude, to me, like, that is success. And that's in every area, every way. That's with my family. That's with my marriage. That's with my kids. Like, what are my priorities, and what am I doing to make Jesus number one? What am I doing to make disciples? That was long-winded, but that's, man, we could go into that for a long time.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thoughts.
We could have episodes off just both those clips.
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah.
Man, do we have anything else on the agenda? I know we're probably running low on time available.
Nah, we're good. These guys got enough of us.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. Seriously, it means the world to us. If you found this impactful, educational, Actually, even if it sucked, but you just want to support the homies, share with somebody. It's the best way for us to get out. We also do want you to like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And for our audio listeners, thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in with us. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Peace.